Lads, welcome to episode 6 for season 2 of the Havre Creator Cast. Today's guests are very special in my eyes. They have gone above and beyond in creating a Yu-Gi-Oh podcast that is consistently available to any listener. And that is going to be Sunny and Giant Skyhawk from the Top Cut podcast. So be sure to stay tuned for their input, and let's go ahead and get straight into the episode. All right, so to kick things off today, we'll just go ahead and have you guys introduce yourselves in the podcast really quick to viewers that may not have listened to or watched any of your content before, so they can get a feel for what they're getting into here.
Sure. I guess I'll go first as the established long-term host.
As the senior member.
Yeah. I have seniority here. So, my name is Sunny. I am, of course, the host of the Top Cut Yu-Gi-Oh podcast. I'm here with my wonderful co-host, Giant Skyhawk.
Hi, that's me. I'm Giant Skyhawk.
Indeed. It's funny. We've got like 200 episodes under our belt, but Skyhawk has like 6. Because until very recently, it was actually I had a very close friend of mine that was on the podcast with me, and he stepped away for personal reasons, and so now it's me and Skyhawk. So
it's actually been it's been more than that because I've been on previously. So
that is true.
To be fair, I've been around, but
He's gonna take any breadcrumb he can here.
Yeah. I gotta come on.
Those.
We're not 6. We're at least like 12. All right, I'm getting it.
Honestly, we're probably at 6 since you became an actual co-host. So
Right, fair enough.
Yeah, you probably are around a dozen total because I've had you on a bunch before.
Very true. Tell the people more about you, Sonny. What?
I'm just an idiot that has a nice microphone. That's all. That's it. That's me.
That's all any of us are on the internet.
That is true. No, I'm like I said, my name is Sunny. I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh in like when I was a child. Started playing competitively around 2010. Stopped around 2014. Pendulums were just too much. And I got my stuff stolen a second time, and I said, nope, pendulums plus this? No, I'm good. And then around 2020, around the start of COVID, I got back into Yu-Gi-Oh! And I started going to tournaments again. I got back up to speed on the game, and after a while, I wanted to have a podcast because there were none that posted consistently in English with good audio. So I went ahead and decided to we decided to start our own podcast, and 2 years and 200 episodes later, here we are.
Okay. Why is that like so similar to my story though? That like actually kind of upsets me a little bit that it's almost identical. I played up until about
great minds think
Pandera.
alike.
Yeah, I played up until about Pandera. Got confused by the cards because I was like 14. Quit the game, and then I came back at the end of 2019 when COVID hit.
Yep.
Dang, I guess I'm not a great mind. I guess I'll use that incredible segue of having a slightly different story than disliking pendulums. So if you've seen me around, I've been on like MBT's channel that one time.
Yeah, that was you.
Yeah. I did pretty well in a lot of the Chalice Sound tournaments. I started kind of same as everybody. Watched the show when I was a kid. I got a Dinosaurs Rage structure deck on a trip down to the US. Like the old Dino structure deck with like Dark Triceratops and Seismic Shockwave and all that stuff. So me and my twin brother, had like a Warrior 5D structure deck, and my little brother had a Zombie structure deck, and that was basically all we did was like just triangle matches against those decks, having no idea what we were doing. But I don't know. I'm around. I put a video on YouTube up like once every month, and then Sonny roped me into co-hosting the podcast with him. So that's I have the Konami bobblehead profile picture because I made an invitational once. That's my story.
I mean, hey,
he's also extremely humble.
I bet. So now, what are the primary topics that you guys cover on your podcast? 'Cause I don't get to listen to every one of them. Unfortunately, I just kind of get a peep in here and there. But let people know on that so they know what to expect if they come listen?
I would say we primarily cover news and events within the competitive Yu-Gi-Oh card game. And when there are no news or events, we come up with our own general topics. Things like the best budget decks of the format. We've done that one a couple of times. Things like what hand traps are most effective at the moment, and just kind of generally covering event coverage, ban lists, things of that sort. So. And giving tournament reports when we do go to tournaments. So
yeah, I think it's kind of more of a it's kind of a cross between a competitive like news show and our own personal experiences playing. Like we had I think a recent episode which was great. We were talking about Sonny, because he's crazy, went to go drive out to like 4 regionals back to back on weekends, and then that same weekend I was actually the head judge at the Edmonton regional. Exactly. Yeah, made my point exactly.
I did 15,000 miles in 5 weeks.
Oh my god!
And I think it was like end of March, beginning of April. I think that was like the split. It was like through March and April. It was like a 5-week stretch where I went 15,000 miles in 5 weeks for Yu-Gi-Oh. Granted, the vast majority of those miles came on the London trip, because me and Scott went to we went to YCS London together. So I cheated. I got like 12,000 miles off the London trip.
Yeah. Okay,
But,
we got that.
Yeah, just going across the pond, not a big deal.
We gotta play it up a little bit, but that
but it still sounds cool.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that's still crazy though. Like I won't even drive 100 miles to play. Like I have, believe it or not, I have never been to an official Yu-Gi-Oh tournament. Not once.
Okay.
Not even a locals.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, in the last 3 years, I think we as players have gotten very accustomed to online events and doing things online, playing online. I don't even think that that's out of the norm necessarily.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know
that's
tons
fair.
of people who are like, I just play on Dueling Book. Like, there's tons of people who
see, like if I had the access, 100% it'd be a different story. But I ain't driving 100 miles for locals. No thanks.
I was just gonna say. So it sounds like it's more that it just isn't an OTS near you.
Yeah, no. Oh, I'm trying to become a judge so I can actually do that. I'm just too lazy to do that too.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it is what
my
it is.
my closest locals is 75 miles.
Yeah, I'm Canada, so I also live on like an acreage outside of a major city, so my commute isn't as crazy as both of yours, but it's still like a 40-minute drive for me to go to locals. Like I'd say it's what I don't know how to do the kilometers and miles conversion. You just silly.
How many kilometers is it?
I'd say it's like 40-ish kilometers probably.
So it's about 25 miles.
25 miles.
Yeah.
So still not nearly as crazy as y'all, but it's the type of thing where I'm like, I only really go once a week, once every 2 weeks if things are busy. Yeah, I'd say it's definitely worth being a judge. Like the episode I was talking about before, Sonny was talking about his regional experience. I was the head judge at the Edmonton regional a couple weekends ago. And,
oh wow.
Yeah, it was a tiny regional though. We had 41 players.
I mean, hey, that's still a cool thing to do though.
Yeah, the entire province of Alberta was on fire. Like the last one that I was the head judge for.
Actually physically on fire.
Oh no,
yes.
I've noticed we've gotten the smoke down here. I know.
Yeah,
trust me.
I assume you're probably like northern US then, if you've been getting a bunch of stuff
I am
us.
40 miles south of the Canadian border. I get all of it.
So you're like right by you'd be pretty close to Cardston, like Montana area then. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you nailed it right on the head. So I'm pretty sure Sonny and I actually talked about it when he called me last week, but
yeah, we did. I'm gonna be honest, I forgot. So
yeah, no, that's totally fine. Yeah, totally nailed it. Northern Montana. I'm right up there.
I was gonna say I love Montana. I've been down a few times. Always fun to drive through and be around. But yeah, there's gotta be like.
I have always wanted to check out Montana. I've always wanted to see Montana. The issue is I've never actually had a reason to go to Montana.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice if you're in the right part of the state. If you go, I think it's the west side of the state is just all plains. It's boring.
Yeah.
But if you go to the mountains, it's a good time.
Yeah, that sounds about like where I'm at too. It's like if you go west, mountains. If you go east, nothing.
Right.
And for me, if you go north, nothing. South, nothing. East, Texas, which is basically nothing, and west is swamps. So
Glad to hear Will live in the middle of nowhere. So if you
I'll-
if you never if you don't go to like official tournaments, have you ever done like remote duels, or do you mostly play online?
Nope. I just play on simulators and I do a bunch of theory, and like honestly most of my time doing anything with Yu-Gi-Oh is just testing decks in physical cardboard with no one to play against.
I mean, honestly, like you do you like there is
Yeah.
something to be said about, even if you're not like going to play or enter events, that like just having like the physical cards to work with, just like the tactile
Yeah.
thing. It's kind of like people who like
Well,
prefer
we
reading
we
books,
have an
like,
unofficial
physically rather than
locals.
digitally. It's just there's something different
Mhm.
about it. You
I cannot find myself like I can't play online. I have to do like I'll solo test hands on my desk before I play online.
That's true.
It's something about physical.
I think this dude's played
There we
Master
go.
Duel of
That's
his life
better.
once.
Yeah. I played Master Duel for the first
Yeah,
month.
no,
that was
it you burn out quick. You burn out quick.
Yeah.
It's-
yeah, I'm
it's
looking at
rough.
Josh
now.
Schmidt and he's looking burnt out.
Yeah, yeah. That is a man defeated.
Yeah,
Okay, yes,
yeah.
Yeah, Josh is on a different level entirely. This dude's insane.
He's so dedicated to the game, and I appreciate it. But I just, it's too much.
Yeah, I could never.
I think Coder summed it up perfectly. He posted, because Esparfa posted kind of a longer thread about like how amazing it is what Joshua was doing. It's like such an interesting thing to be happening on Yu-Gi-Oh! Twitch in the content space. And while I completely agree with that, I think Coder's take is also really good, which is, yeah, it's cool, but is this really the format we want to do for people to go to Worlds? Like, do we really want people to sleep for like 4 hours a day to try to like be top 2 of their region?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just,
Yeah,
I was-
it's rough out there.
I was always my like the thing I was hoping with Master Duel is that they would finally stop doing the Duel Links like rated system, and it turns out it's exactly the same system as Duel Links, and I'm like, no.
I just
Yeah,
I
it's
can't.
unfortunate.
I don't like how Master Duel. So I don't know what I was actually expecting for Master Duel, but I don't like the idea of if I want to go play Time Wizard formats with my friends, I want to be able to do that, right? I want to be able to pick up, craft a deck of anything, and go play it, even if I can't play it on a ranked ladder because of whatever reason. I think currently the reasons to not play it on, it's not legal, right? Like, if I want to build an Edison deck, I can't build the Edison decks because a lot of the cards are banned, right? I don't know.
Yeah, it's rough. So, I guess this next question is going to be kind of more intended for you, Sonny, because you're the one who started all this. You're like the one that's been here with the podcast for the whole time. What fully brought you into like making the decision of you wanted to do a podcast in the Yu-Gi-Oh space? Like, what was the nail in the coffin for that? Because I know you already mentioned there wasn't really any other podcasts in English posting consistently with decent audio. Was there like anything specifically that drew you to podcasts rather than just normal videos?
So I'm a UPS driver by trade. So I'm on the road all day, every day. And at that time, I was starting to watch a lot more podcasts, or listen to a lot more podcasts rather.
Mm-hmm.
And I like music. I like listening to music, sure. But like when you listen to like every song on your phone multiple times, try to branch out and listen to new songs, and like you just get tired of it after a while. So I wanted a podcast, and at that time I was like extremely like trying to get better at competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, trying to play more, trying to learn more, trying to get caught back up at the 6 years of Yu-Gi-Oh that I missed. And in the process of all of that, I told myself, well, there aren't any Yu-Gi-Oh podcasts really. So I would like to that are really like structured,
Uh-huh.
And I wanted to have more of a structured podcast that posted on a very consistent basis, multiple times a week. And so I said, "There's not that, so I'm going to be that. Become the change you want to see in the world, right?"
Mm-hmm.
So I had some cards that I wasn't using. I sold them, and I purchased all the podcasting equipment, and I manifested the change I wanted to see in the world. So
I mean, hey, that's
it.
nothing wrong with that. I appreciate that like 100%. Honestly, that was part of the reason I started mine as well. That because it was just like it felt something more casual. You could just hop on, be able to converse with other people. It seems like a good excuse to be able to branch out and collaborate a bit more. So that was kind of part of why I got into it myself. But yeah, as far as Yu-Gi-Oh podcasts go, like I think there's only 2 or 3 that I know of that I would actually listen to. It's you guys. Pack had his for a while. I don't think the GooCast is still going.
So they actually are getting ready to start season 2. Actually,
Oh, okay.
they've just been taking a break for a little while, and they're about to start season 2.
Okay, I couldn't remember if they already did season 2. My brain was like kind of skipping on that, but there was so there was you guys, them, and then there was one other that I saw on Twitter like a few months back. I'm pretty sure they were going back and forth with you on Twitter, but I don't remember who they were. It was like a single person going at it. They were doing probably about 20, 30-minute episodes, but I really cannot remember who it was. That's bugging me now.
I know there's a couple that are around. Like, there's a couple. There's a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh podcasts that are like anime focused. There's not a lot that are like card game focused. Like the Scapegoats, for example, I think are more anime. There was Set 5 Pass used to run.
Set 5 Pass. I think that was the one.
Yeah. They don't post anymore, I don't think.
Oh, that's sad.
That was
Topaz, right?
Topaz. Yeah, that was Topaz. There was also there still is one called T Set Pass, but it's TEA because they're British.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have him on ours soon.
Okay.
If we can ever.
Hey, little spoilers. I like it.
That was I think that was planned for our upcoming episode, but some current events changed plans.
That'll happen.
Yeah.
Well, I say spoilers, but this episode won't be coming out for a few weeks. So your episode will probably be out by then, anyways. So
it probably will. Yeah, we'll probably record and post with James before that. But yeah, so there's he's British, so it's TTEA Set Pass, and then there's also one. There was one called the Pop One podcast. It's a group of guys out of Mississippi, but they don't really do the Pop One podcast anymore. They just are like the Pop One podcast team. And it's like a team of really good players, but they don't actually do the podcast that often. And then there's another one, like the Yu-Gi-Oh podcast zone or something like that. I don't remember. They post like they have a running thread of every episode they've posted, and it's like they update their thread like they post once a week or so. And there's also Cowboy for Game, which they've been running since before us.
I mean, I guess that just kind of like the podcast just attract each other because I haven't seen or heard of just about any of these before. That's crazy.
I think everybody's really small is the thing.
Yeah, it is tough. It is tough.
So so the GooCast is far and away the largest podcast.
Oh yeah.
But they don't post as consistently as we do. Cowboy for Game has been going for longer than us, but I think, and I'm not for sure on this, I think we're a little bit bigger than they are. And then every other podcast is both newer and smaller than ours, except for maybe T-Set Pass. He's got like 30,000 followers on TikTok, but TikTok is also TikTok, so I don't know quite how that translates to actual podcast numbers. But so he might be bigger than us, but he also only has like 9 episodes, so I don't know. We'll see.
So that's another thing I'm curious about is because obviously you guys have YouTube and then you post everywhere else that podcasts are accessible because being a podcast, you get a lot more mediums than most types of content. Where's like your main...
on the other hand,
good.
Well, I was gonna say we get more mediums to post on, but on the other hand, if like the weird thing is that if any kind of like sponsor or anything like that tries to like look at our numbers, it's really hard for them to actually conceptually understand what kind of numbers we're doing, because you can't just look at our YouTube video and go, oh, they're getting 10K here, they're getting 12K here, they're getting 3K here, whatever. They just can't. They don't have those numbers to look at. We have to provide those numbers in a weird way, and that's That's honestly one of the worst parts of being a podcast is because if you're really small, it's very hard to get sponsorship deals.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
Well, I think
actually what I was just about to ask. Is like, sorry to cut you off there. Since you guys are on all these different platforms, like, what's kind of your main focus? Do you focus on any of them specifically, or just kind of let them all run free?
I think what's cool about the way that it's set up is that a lot of the audio podcast stuff, like the distributors that are available, have gotten pretty good at sending them out to multiple platforms.
Mhm.
So really, it doesn't have to be a focused thing. Like our biggest platform for sure is Spotify.
Okay.
Yeah, by
Like
far.
that's just like that's just huge for playability. But like the other podcast platforms are pretty good. I'd say Spotify is probably the thing that does the best for us, but I think YouTube has probably been like a focus as of late, just because
Yes.
Spotify is always going to be something that will be carried with the quality of the conversation, whereas YouTube is something that the production value can always be changed, the ideas for building it can always be changed. So I think the focus is probably YouTube, but what's nice about doing a podcast is that no matter what else you put on top of it, the base is still like a good conversation, audio only, that you could put on for a long time. So I think
Yeah,
you don't have
absolutely.
to focus as much on the streaming platform so much as you do on wherever else you want to branch out to.
No, that's totally
Yeah.
fair. Well, you mentioned distributors. Where do you? What? I'm just curious. You guys don't have to answer this if you don't want to. What distributor do you guys go through for getting your podcast out?
Oh, it's Acast.
Acast.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think
Yeah.
I've.
We started. Okay, so Skyhawk that probably may not even realize this.
I don't
We
have the
started
history.
originally. Yeah. We started originally on Anchor.
Okay.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
Yeah. And we were on Anchor for somewhere in the neighborhood of like around a year. And we got a year in, and Anchor's really great because when you start out, they actually first off they sponsor you immediately. You just have to say like, "Hey, this podcast is on Anchor," and Anchor is the one way that we use to post our podcast or whatever. And they actually like pay you out. They do $15 per every 1,000 views. And but the issue, and it's free to post there on top of that, so you actually just make money by having a podcast with them. The issue is that unless you transfer in a larger podcast onto Anchor when you start out, obviously you don't have a listener base, so they don't really have like to pay you anything, not actual money, not like real big money. I think in the year that we were there, we made like 25, $30, maybe it might have been a little bit more, but after a while they end your sponsorship. So at that point you have to actually look at the merits of the platform, not just they're not just paying you to be here. You have to actually look at the platform and see what's good for you. Well, we realized that on Anchor, when we started, we were just getting all of our analytics information from Anchor as it told us. Well, as it turns out, the information that you get from Anchor is not totally accurate to the information that is actually being recorded. So we were having to go, instead of going to Anchor to get all of our analytics, we would actually go to Spotify and log into and claim our podcast on Spotify and go to Spotify for podcasters and actually look at the in-depth analytics through actually Spotify. Same thing with Apple iTunes. We had to actually go in, look at it, and look at all of the individual analytics for our podcast on iTunes. And just whatever other platforms we were posting on, we had to look at everything individually. Now, so we decided, since it wasn't tracking our analytics, and that was one of the biggest things we wanted to do, and they were not pairing us with more sponsors like they said they were going to, we decided to move over to Acast, who also claimed to be able to set us up with sponsors, and they haven't. And also said they were going to track our analytics more accurately, which they haven't. And also said that they were going to integrate seamlessly with Patreon, which it doesn't. So why we're still on Anchor, I couldn't tell you. I mean, why we're still on Acast, I couldn't tell you. We've been here for
all
so long
blends
at this
together.
point. Yeah, we've been here for so long at this point that it just would feel weird to move.
I
I will
was.
say they're very.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to jump in and say they are very good at getting stuff out. Like I've never had any trouble with no technical issues with
Yeah,
Acast.
we
Everything
have-
goes to like.
We did have on that on Anchor. We had issues sometimes
Yeah.
with uploads not going up and stuff, and we haven't
So
had
they're-
that on Acast.
Yeah, so they're on the technical side of things. They're very good. I will say, I think a lot of talk about like sponsorships and or anything, but it's for me it's more of an entertainment thing. I think it's good to hop on and have conversations. I feel like I'm the even as the new guy, I'm kind of the jester here. A little bit less on the business side of things, although it has been fun learning. I come from like an audio like editing background, so I'm in terms of like what I do like hobby wise, content creation wise, I'm like a music guy,
Oh,
like
okay.
guitar keys. So for me, doing like an audio only format is cool, and then learning the video side of it's been fun as well. But
You
yeah.
see, and I've been the opposite. I've had to like really learn the audio stuff because I've been doing video for about 13 years now, and I got really specialized in like cinematography and stuff. So when I came to making Yu-Gi-Oh videos, I was like, oh, this is a piece of cake. And then I started a podcast, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's another half to doing this stuff. Oh,
Yeah, exactly. It's and it's definitely not always a cakewalk. Like we used to like it used to be like Craig Bot that they did. I remember from the guest episodes, and then it was separately,
A
and now
nightmare.
now it's everything else, and so it's definitely a process for sure. Like with audio stuff too, I think a lot of people are under the impression that they need to have like something really expensive to get started, and that's just not really the case at all. Like I have something decent, like my microphone's an Aston Origin. It's like a UK made microphone.
okay.
It's and it's like it's an XLR setup. I got it because it was good with acoustic guitars specifically, but really like if you're just recording a podcast or you want like decent audio and you don't want to go crazy, any USB mic is great. And it's a lot more about the environment that you're recording in than it is the microphone you have, until you get to like a really really high level. So you can do a lot with not that much. Like honestly, I spent a lot of time like recording covers. It was like you go into your closet because there's a lot of clothes there to dampen out sound,
Yep.
and that's how you do that. I have some acoustic treatment now. I have to rearrange my space as it is to accommodate it, but like sometimes it's like blanket taped over the wall and over top of a chair, and that's what does a little bit of your noise dampening, right? So
Oh yeah.
there's
Oh, yeah.
it's a whole other dimension. But the video side of things, I this is like almost no clue. So it's been fun to get into.
Yeah, no, it's all interesting stuff to learn, and I totally hear you on all that. I'll agree with the USB mic thing for the most part. There, just make sure you like do your research into the mics because you do find some very
Yeah.
crappy low end ones that just they'll have
Yes.
hiss and all
Also-
sorts of obnoxious
Exactly.
stuff. But
And if you ever want to upgrade like really far, like if you ever want to like a USB is like if you decide you're going to be there forever, but like if you want to eventually upgrade your audio, I would say for sure do get yourself an audio interface, get an XLR microphone because that's the only way to like
Also,
improve it.
it's also worth mentioning that if you are going to have a two-person recording setup, you can't have a USB mic.
Yep, 100% true. Absolutely.
It just doesn't play nice. You have to have an XLR setup.
Two
When
people
me
in
and Caleb
person
got
anyway.
started, yeah, when me and Caleb got started, we I ordered. So I had seen online. I was like, if you want to have a good audio sound, the actual microphone itself is not that important. What's far more important than that is the audio interface and how well you can actually use it and adjust it. So I splurged. I got a 4 microphone input audio interface, and it's massive overkill for what I need to do.
Yeah.
But
I was
I
sitting here with,
wanted
like,
to be able, yeah, I wanted to be able to control individual EQ inputs from the interface, and also I wanted to be able to, if we had more than 2 people on the podcast in person, I wanted to be able to wire everybody in rather than try to share mics and stuff, which has happened many times. We've had as many as 4 mics hooked up. So it's been something that we've needed to do multiple times, and it's worked out for us. So I'm glad that I did that. But when we bought the microphone, there was a newer microphone combo set. It was microphone with a pop filter and a mic stand, like the arm. And I think the whole setup was like $26.
What? Oh,
And yeah. And so if you actually go back and listen to our first couple of episodes, the audio is unlistenable. It's so bad. But once I learned how to do things like use a compressor and fine tune the audio properly, over the course of episodes and episodes, it did get a lot better, to the point where I had those little cheap $20 microphones tuned so perfectly that when I got this microphone, for a while the old one sounded better.
yeah. It's that adjustment period where you got to get these ones tuned now.
Yeah, so this is an Audio Technica AT2020.
Hey, not bad. I like Audio Technica myself. I'm more of a Rode fan, but trust me, I know what it's like to be overkill. Like I'm on the Rode Procaster right now is what I'm using.
Yeah, that's a great microphone.
Yeah, and I have the Yamaha audio interface next to me here. That looks really similar to mine. Hold up.
Yeah.
What brand is yours?
This is an Oasis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It just looks so similar to my Yamaha. That's too funny.
Yeah, when I say I went overkill on the audio interface, this is not like a high-end audio interface, really. It was like $160, I think.
I think same here.
So, yeah, mine's on like the low end. I could have gotten a Yamaha for $160.
Oh yeah,
I'm
dude, it was worth it.
Now. Yeah, but mine's like, it does the job. It's all right. And the very first intro we ever recorded, actually, this has inputs to record guitar and bass and things like that, to actually record real instruments.
Yep.
And so I got my father-in-law to come over, and he plays bass, and I got him to do our original intro. People are gonna recognize it. Do 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 do. And it's just like this little bass line that I got my father-in-law to play, and I recorded it through my audio interface. And he was just like, it was so funny because when he played it on his bass, he's used to hearing it through an amp. And so he just heard it just like on his guitar, and it was just being picked up through all the recording equipment. And at the end, I played it back, and he was like, huh, it really picked it up just like I would hear it on an amp. It's just that I just didn't sound. I was like, yeah, that's how it works. Yeah. It was so our original intro, my father-in-law recorded in about 20 minutes of sitting here playing his bass guitar in the man cave.
I didn't know that's what that was.
That's really cool. I like that.
I'm glad Skyhawk got a kick out of that. Yeah, it was my father-in-law. It was my father-in-law sitting here in my man cave with me playing his bass guitar, and because I said, "Hey, you play an instrument? I need an intro," and he said, "What?" I said, "Yeah, I need an intro for my podcast." He was like, "Well, what do you want?" I was like, "I don't know, just play a little, just play." Yeah, exactly. I was like, "Just play whatever you want on your bass guitar, whatever comes to mind." And he did that, and he was like, "What about this?" And he just did something. And I was like, "No, what was that thing you played first?" He's like, "I was warming up." And I was like, "Yeah, play that." And he did it again. I was like, "Yeah, that's the one."
Oh man, I love work like that. Honestly, I had something similar for an audio drama Yu-Gi-Oh series that I was doing. I had a buddy. I just tossed him. I just told him what the series was, and I'm like, "All right, man, you roll with it. Have fun." And he came back with such a banger intro. I'm like, what? It was reason enough to do the second episode of the series, but it didn't make it past that, sadly. It kind of died.
That happens sometimes.
Yeah, I also had fun with Skyhawk here. He kept telling us he was going to record an intro for us, and I had to pester him for I don't know, what was it, about 3 months before he finally got some samples?
Listen, it's that ADHD life.
I feel that 100%.
I also have ADHD.
This was before I was receiving treatment for that. I'm also very bad at music. Is something that I do when I feel like I can. It's kind of a weird relationship that I have with it. Yeah. There's actually two different versions of the intro. There was two options rather. The one that's currently there is a little bit weird. I added some very cringe. I listened to vocal stuff. I listened to I came up with the beat. I was like, okay, this is good. And then I was like, wait, but what if it was what if I made it even worse? What if we made it edgier? I was like, Top Coat, welcome to the Top Coat, welcome to the Top Coat. I don't know. And then the other one I did is just like it's a terrible, just stupid dubstep nonsense. but the beginning of it's like, you're listening to the Top Cut podcast hosted by Sunny and Caleb. And then I did a big choir of my own voice and like, welcome to the Top Cut with a whole bunch of like harmony stuff. So that was cool, but the rest of that
it's
sucked.
amazing.
So they went with
so good.
They went with the first one. But I think we might switch that up at some point in the near future. But
yeah,
it'll
be the very near future.
It's been funny to be like, hey, I made that.
Right. Oh man. So
although we have an outside source working on the new intro.
Oh, you're outsourcing. Okay, I see.
Yeah. Another one of my moderators.
I'll be real, when it comes to making like intros and stuff like that, I just use royalty free stuff. I just go on Artlist and I get my music.
I respect that.
That's valid. That's an incredibly valid approach. It's like there's lots of good stuff out there. It's very easy. Like
yeah,
zero qualms.
I mean, when it comes to the channel that I'm on too, we have like 3 or 4 different people that kind of work on making videos in and out. I make probably the most on the channel currently, but I'm also the only editor, so I'm doing all the work. So I'm like trying to find any shortcut I can.
Yep, exactly. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's a fun time.
I understand trying to find shortcuts. I get it.
Oh man, yeah. There's so many you have to find, especially if you're like doing this on your own. I did that for a while before I got onto this channel. I was on my own for like, oh god, how many? Probably about 1.5 years. I was alone, and then I finally was like, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. I need to be with other people to like motivate myself.
That's exactly the point I was just gonna make. Is that having someone else is like super huge just for motivation, right? Like I'm somebody, if you go look at my YouTube channel, it's like video, song, fan list reaction, in a loop for like 2 years, a couple of longer video guides, right? But like the last, like since starting as a co-host of the podcast, it's probably the most productive I've been content wise, partially because Sunny is excellent at making sure that everything is ready. But
yep, I'm a crackhead.
That's true. Having somebody else to be accountable to, but also just to do stuff with content wise is super good for motivation.
Well, see, I understand being a crackhead. Like so I had Callie, I had the Callie effect on for my last episode, and he flipped the script on me. Yeah, he's a great guy. He's
such an energetic personality. We had him on one time. One of my favorite episodes we've ever done.
The weird thing is, though, is that while we were recording, he flipped the script on me and started asking me a couple of questions about like my work ethic and whatnot. And at the end of it, he's like, he basically just identified me as a workaholic, and then advised me to like take more time to chill. And I'm like, why did this happen?
That sounds like
that's really funny. I'm gonna have to go. Let's give that one a listen.
It caught me so off guard. Great. I was not at all ready for it. I'm like, wait a minute. I was asking you the questions. What is going on? And then he just straight up called me out on my own podcast and told me to chill. I was like, no way. Out of all,
so let me ask you, how many hours a week do you put into this?
No. We can't do this again. Come on.
I plead the fifth. No, actually, in all reality, it's like probably about 20 to 30, give or take.
And do you work full time as well?
I do. And I also do the chores. I own a house, so I have like lawn care and all that stuff to worry about. I have a wife, so I spend time with her, and I still find time to play video games.
Okay, so as someone who is living your exact life plus a child, listen, I'm just going to say, my brother, sleep is for the weak. Let's go.
It doesn't help that I'm a custodian and I work afternoons, so I'm 3 to 11. So I get off work, I get home about 11:15, and then I eat dinner and go to bed. And it's rough. I wake up at like 6 or 7. Optional. It is an option.
I continue to be the odd man out here. I do also work kind of later hours. I'm 12 to 8:30, but I get to work from home, which is nice. But I'm also full time. However, I do not have children.
Now let me ask this, Skyhawk. Do you play Minecraft on peaceful?
I have never once played Minecraft in my entire life.
Okay, well that answers that question
Hey,
completely.
so
All right.
as it happens, I'm looking for a new co-host.
Hey, I'm right here, bro. I'm right here. I already got all the
That's
equipment.
what
We're
I'm
all
saying.
set.
This could be a match made in heaven.
I'm literally becoming the odd man out as we speak. This is no
You
longer.
have isolated.
This is,
You could have just
this is
sat
not
in
a
silence and let it be, and you had to like push yourself out there as the
no,
odd man.
this is
When I
for
find
I don't know.
myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes. Sorry, you said let it be, and it just came to me.
True. I was gonna say the Minecraft thing is funny because every time I say that, people are like, "What?" It's not my type of creativity. I think, like, if you were to ask me to draw you a picture, I would give you like a smiley face with the worst Elvis hair you've ever seen in your life. But if you tell me to write a song, I can put something together. If you like with like Minecraft for me is difficult. Like it's actually like hard for me to figure out because that type of creativity is not something I'm good at or can like kind of innately do. But Yu-Gi-Oh is
understand.
somewhere where I find a lot of creative expression because there are so many. The tools are already set for you. Like I don't have to build a structure or a system. I have to work within it to find either the best thing to do or something funny to do or just something I enjoy doing. It's hard for me to do in something like Minecraft where you're physically building or exploring. Like I really dislike open world games. Like Breath of the Wild, boring. The Skyrim sucks. At least they're great games, but for me it's difficult to do. I'm more I love like Fire Emblem. I love Inscription. I love like Hotel Dusk, lots of story stuff, lots of strategy. So that's I don't know. Minecraft is like hard for me. It's like
That's fair.
I guess what I'm saying here.
So now this begs the question: what deck are you playing right now? Like, what's your go-to right now? Now I'm curious.
So this is a fascinating question, actually.
Okay,
because,
wait. I would just like to say, Skyhawk is he wants to play a game that is less slow and grindy and open world and do everything yourself, and something that is more condensed, but also a little bit faster paced. I feel like that's accurate.
Maybe I don't like where this is going. What's the follow-up to this?
So you're not playing Control, is my point.
Well, okay, so it's interesting you say that. So I don't know. I think to answer this question, I have to go a little bit into my history. For a long, long time, I was the Dino guy. I played like Paleo Dino and Toss format. I played Combo Dino and Link Cross. I played like Dragoon Dino in whatever format that was. The like Tri Brigade format, I guess. And then I played Fluffle for a long time. Fluffle for probably a year and a half. The last like 3-ish months or so, I've been playing Crystal Beast. I am a control player trapped inside of a combo player's body. Is the way I like to put it. I live off of making difficult resource decisions, but I often end up using decks that are supposed to do one thing and making them do other things. Like Dinosaur, I always played them going first instead of going second. Fluffle, I always played them going first instead of going second. But this format, I am playing Dinomorphia. Because a Rise Heart screws everything that I love. And so if I cannot have fun, nobody gets to have fun. So I have been playing Dinomorphia.
Ouch. Well, okay, so first things first, breaking everything, digesting all of that. You're talking about being a Dino player, and I don't know if you looked at my username at all. I didn't hear one mention of scraps in there. Not one.
I hate to break this to you. The scrap package is not good in Dinosaur. It's almost every list that I have played has not included the scrap cards.
Podcast over, guys. Have a good night.
It's been great. It's been great talking to you. Have a good night.
I love the Scrap Raptor. It's like the most searchable card in the game. I love the Scrap Raptor. I don't think it's good in Dinosaur.
It's the second most searchable monster in the game. You want to know the most searchable monster in the game? It is exactly Scrap Recycler. The most searchable card in the game.
I don't know that it is.
Every copy of Scrap Raptor is a copy of Scrap Recycler.
No, it probably actually is Scrap Recycler. He's probably not wrong about
So
that.
okay, so let me break this down. You have 3 Scrap Recycler, 3 Scrap Raptor, 3 Fossil Dig, 3 Scrap Yard, 3 Urgent Schedule, and then you also have 3 Machina Redeployment, which can get you into Scrap Recycler. That's at least what it is list off 18 cards.
Okay, but for Scrap Raptor specifically, you have Fossil Dig, you have the new Dino Field Spell, you have Scrapyard, right? You also
you
have
mean Ground Xeno?
Ground
It's
Xeno,
not a
yeah.
field spell, it's a normal spell.
I forgot about
Yeah,
that
that
one. I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's any
because
Dino tuner.
I mean, does it...
The thing is, anything that can get you into Scrap Raptor can get you into Scrap Recycler, because Scrap Raptor gives you an extra normal summon and searches a Scrap non-tuner, being Recycler.
That's true, because you're basically always counting your 3 copies of Recycler on top of the Scrap Raptor.
Yep. And then there's other stuff that gets you
Yes.
Recycler outside of just Raptor. There's a lot of things that do it. It's ridiculous. That's why I play 60 card scrap piles and get away with it.
Shoutouts to Noble Knight Shield Bearer for being able to search Crystal Beast, Sapphire, Pegasus.
What card?
So it's a weird. It came out in like a weird side set. It adds like a level 6 or lower winged beast, like wind winged beast. It like gets like exactly Pegasus. It's not worth playing, but it's like Neshi has a video on like how many Pegasus can you run, and it's like 18. It's
That's insane.
Yeah, Recycler still got to beat. It's
Anyway,
okay.
Sunny, so I'm currently playing Dinomorphia, although I'm considering playing a 60 card Dino pile, post Wild Survivors, depending on how the meta shakes down. What are you playing, Sunny?
So, okay. I'm playing a very, very sad game and losing. Okay, so see, I've been playing Sword Soul for over a year. Basically, since it came out, I built Sword Soul, and I've been playing Sword Soul pretty much nonstop since it came out, which is like 15, 16, 17 months. So I told myself, well, I want to try something new. So, but the issue was I didn't know what new thing I wanted to try. Well, I had a lot of the cards from Mathmech, so I picked up the rest, and now I have Mathmech.
No.
The Sword Soul cards came out, or the Super Heavy cards came out, and I said, well, I mean, I've got most of the expensive cards already. I just need to pick up odds and ends, bits and bobs. So I pick up the rest of the Super Heavy Samurai cards. I said, well, I mean, you know, I really like Naturia. I've always liked Naturia. I pick up the Naturia Runic cards. And I guess you're sensing a pattern here. Super Heavy Samurai Scarecrow went to 0. Mathmech Circular went to 1. Naturia Sacred Tree went to 1. Runic Fountain went to 2. So, you know, I'm just gonna keep playing Sword Soul because I now have Denglong and I have picked up 2 of my 3 copies of Ringo.
I was gonna say, is that why you were tweeting about Ringo earlier?
It is, and I got 2 of them. I still need to pick up a 3rd before the regionals.
I got 2 more right here in front of me.
I'll send you my
I'm
address.
literally holding them.
I need 1. I'll send you my address. I'll trade for them after the episode's over.
I can spare for one. That's fine.
So
I'll trade you an ulti scrap dragon. How's that?
I mean, I already have one, but I'm not gonna mind having another.
It's
What are
unlimited
you,
damage.
Oh well, never
are you
mind
playing?
then.
What are you playing this format, Mr. Scrapman?
Well, you see, until the ban list, I guess I still probably can. I was playing Scrap Orchest. I was testing Gold Pride Pug for a few weeks, and I enjoy the deck, but I got bored of it very quickly. I still have it. It's still like ready to go outside of the Gamma hit now. I gotta figure that out. But no, it just got like old for me pretty quick. So I went back to my roots. I've been playing Scrap for like over 2 years. And Orcus is like gone in and out of the variation of the deck. I change it up all the time. But with the Gamma hit actually sucked for that deck. It really did.
Yeah. I mean, can I ask you a question, by the way?
Yeah.
Are you a sports guy?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I am the exact opposite of a sports guy. So
Well, okay. So in football, in American football, there's this trope, and it's there. It's always they have this like this. It's never fails. It's a white wide receiver that is a little undersized, and it's just like the announcers always say the same things about these guys, these undersized. They're like, man, he's a real gym rat. He's a hard worker, grinder, and they always say the same thing. He's scrappy. And so my question to you is going to be, are you a gym rat? Because you're scrappy? But the joke's lost in the translation.
I think that was a bit of a stretch, Sonny. I'm going to be real. I think Pure Scrap is interesting because it has actually seen like random stints of playability. Like I know Asian Persuasion, 2008 has been like a scrap believer for a long time. He has regional tops on Pure Scrap.
Like I have a friend of mine that has a regional top that with the Pure Scraps.
I think people forget it's like it definitely is like a low ceiling, but it has like an unbelievable like advantage grind game.
Don't get me wrong,
there's some really cool cards.
I have messed around with it. I did play it for a couple of months, especially on Master Duel. It's fun. You really have to know what you're doing, though. It is it's tough to pilot.
It's hard. It's when you are playing like a deck with a bunch of moving pieces that has like a weird ceiling. You have to know a lot. Like Rika Son Avalon is such an interesting example of this right now, where there's 4 players in the UK who are consistently topping every event with Rika Son Avalon, but because you need a PhD to play the deck, it just doesn't see a lot of play, right?
You need a PhD.
So Scrap feels very similar, but it's much lower power.
Scraps, you probably only need a Master's, but yeah, you don't get as much out of it. It's definitely a rough time, man. Like, unless you're playing really weird text, the deck does nothing going first. Is the saddest thing.
Speaking of, why do we still not have Harp?
Dude, okay, so I'm guessing you just saw my reply. I'm assuming, because I saw your tweet a little bit ago about the ban list from yesterday, and I replied to her like, we need Harp back. Harp needs to be free.
It must be it.
But it's crazy because like Sky Striker keeps getting all of their stuff back. They're getting all the love. Orcus was out of the same format and did much less, and we get nothing. It sucks.
You know what's crazy is I remember when I was on, MBT did a subathon a while back, and I remember that Skyhawk asking us, which would you rather come back, Harp Horror or Colossus? And I gotta say, I still think my answer would be Harp Horror.
I feel like that's a non-question. Like, would you rather have an on-field continuous Droll and Lockbird that protects itself, or a guy that can special summon from the deck and locks you into darks, when there's 20 other decks that special summon from the deck and don't really lock you at all?
Not only that, but I think that there's a lot to be said for having like a superior extender versus having another powerful end-board boss monster when the game already has a million of those.
Right. Well, the fact of like how much more splashable a Colossus is as opposed to Harp Horror. Like with Harp Horror, you need a whole engine to play it. With Colossus, all you need is Nemesis Corridor, a way to banish something, and then the Colossus.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's not get it twisted. Let's not get it twisted. Colossus or Harp Horror is still very splashable. You don't need that much of an engine.
Yeah. But I mean, like, to be able to play it effectively, you need like at least 4 cards in the main and a few in the extra. Whereas Colossus is like a total of like 3 cards. It's just it's the spatial difference, and the power level of Colossus I feel is a lot higher, but I could be wrong on that.
I don't like Colossus. There's a video of me on Tatsim's channel actually, where Elise Davis and I
a 45-minute video.
Yeah, where Tatsim is a classic Thunder Dragon apologist, and we Elise and I both showed up one stream to tell him that he was wrong about that. So I'm with y'all. Colossus, that should stay on the list
It was
forever.
wonderful that there was an entire stream based around it.
I did that at my lunch break on work. At work at the time, I was an insurance agent at that point. Never doing that again. It was terrible. But I took an extra 15 minutes on lunch just to make sure he knew that we couldn't have Colossus.
Oh, man. Well, I guess before we run out of time here on the podcast, we can kind of go through a couple more questions, get a few more ideas out of you guys. So, do either of you have any plans for like any different content in the future, or are you just kind of planning on sticking to podcasts for a while?
I think that we as a channel have plans for content here in the future. I think we have plans for our actual YouTube channel to grow and evolve into more than just a podcast video twice a week. I think that we have an editor that we work with, and he's been a little bit busy at the moment, so we haven't really had a chance to move on to that pretty regular upload schedule that we actually want to move on to.
Right.
Because realistically, to do multiple podcast episodes a week, to do extra content outside of that, whether that be YouTube Shorts or whether that be, actual long form YouTube content, or well, not long form, but like short form, like 8 to 10 minute YouTube content.
Yeah.
You know, to branch out into all these different things, you know, it takes like a full team, not just like one or two people. So I think there are plans. We started a new series recently called the Deck Debate, and it did pretty well. So we're gonna try to stick with that for a little bit and see how that goes and see how people, take to that. But in the meantime, we're gonna stick with the podcast. We're gonna keep that as consistent as possible, and hopefully we'll have some more content coming for people soon.
There you go.
I might branch into this is like kind of off the cuff, some video essay style stuff. I've had some ideas bouncing around in my head. So I think you will see it, like it's mostly the podcast, but I think you will start to see the YouTube channel start to have some different stuff over the next couple months. So I think that'll be cool.
Okay.
I agree.
I'll definitely keep an eye out for that. Like I said, I'm gonna try to start listening to the podcast more because I've been really behind on it, and it's like probably one of the only things that'll keep me interested in the game right now because everything is ban list.
Get
dramatic.
ready for the next episode of the podcast.
I know exactly what's coming next. I mean, it's obvious, but I have other episodes I can go back and listen to, so it's fine. There's older stuff.
Yeah.
That'll be exciting to see for sure, to see you guys kind of split up and do a couple of different things here and there. That'll be fun because it usually goes the other ways for a lot of creators. They'll start making normal content, then they'll start thinking about a podcast later. You guys went the opposite direction. And I totally respect that because I'm one of the people that started with videos and went to the podcast.
So also another reason is I've always wanted to do YouTube content creation, but I told myself that it would be easier for me to get started on YouTube, which I had it all wrong in my head. But I told myself that it would be easier to get started on YouTube if I was bringing an established base to YouTube rather than try to bring my established YouTube base to a podcast, which again, I was totally wrong. It would have been way easier to start the YouTube first and then do the podcast, but whatever, that's neither here nor there. Regardless, we did the podcast first, and I like the podcast, so.
I mean, you guys seem like you're on a pretty solid way to grow in here. You're at a decent amount of subscribers for climbing up. I mean, especially once again for a podcast, it's a lot harder to grow in the Yu-Gi-Oh space. And then on top of that, you guys are already getting sponsors, which is a huge thing for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's something that we've been trying very hard to grow on and work on. So,
right,
we're rocking. We're doing good.
True.
Oh yeah. For a second, I thought you said War Rock, and I'm like, please no.
True. Let's go to the mountain. It's Gactos time.
Not a mountain I'm climbing today.
Let me hit up my good pal Meteor Wagon and let's go. I don't know. Let's go beat up some Cybersteins.
God. Looks like we're running fairly low on our time here, gentlemen. But are there any final thoughts or advice you have to other creators trying to hop up into the scene and get alongside you?
in my short time doing consistent content, consistency is very good. I think like what you guys have maybe missed one episode ever. It's
No, it's like
it's
3.
been pretty rare. Yeah, over 2 years.
Yeah, I
It's,
think we missed like 2 or 3 episodes, and they were mostly around
especially for-
holidays.
Yeah, especially when stuff is small, that's big. I think make sure that it's something you feel like you can do. Like for me, some of the stuff that's done the best on my channel is a lot of the video guide content, but a lot of that both was connected to competitive results, and which is not something that can always be consistent, and it was connected to like having the time to put into something that's very in-depth and up. Make sure it's something that you feel like you can commit to, and then once you're in the rhythm, that's something that you can look to expand.
And make
anything
sure
else?
that you don't burn yourself out on it, because it's really just it's a lot of fun and it's very enjoyable, but it's something that I've had to experience myself. I'm sure you have yourself, and it's very very easy to not realize that you're experiencing burnout as it comes through. So if you are starting that content creation journey, I wouldn't set your schedule too crazy too early. We started at 2 episodes a week, which is already a lot, and we've maintained that, and it cost me my co-host. I'm just going to be honest, because burnout's a real thing.
Yep.
So be careful, right? Take care of yourself mentally and physically. Make sure that you are prioritizing yourself and your needs first, because at the end of the day, once you start building a community around you and around yourself, they are going to be much more. If you have built a good community, they will be very understanding, and not only understanding, they'll be very supportive of you taking mental health breaks to take care of yourself, because it's very important that you take care of yourself before you try to commit to the incredible grind that is content creation. So
I mean,
that'd
that's
be my
pretty much
biggest piece of
exactly
advice.
that was pretty much exactly the point I was going to add on to the end of that, is just knowing your own pace. Like that
Yeah.
is something I definitely did at the start of mine too. I was trying to do like 2 to 3 videos a week with just absurd amounts of editing, was like my whole thing starting out. And I can't tell you how many times I would get really into it. I'd last for like a few weeks, and then I'd be gone for 3 months. And I never grew because of it, because I wasn't actually just putting out content at a regular pace. So definitely understand your work ethic and understand how far you can go, and then step back a couple steps from that point so you don't go too far.
Yeah, for sure.
No, it's totally tough. Well, thank you guys so much for your input on the podcast today. These are only about hour-long episodes. Like I said, we're pretty much hitting our time limit here. But once again, thank you guys so much for joining. I'm very honored to have you two on today. I know you have some very good insight into the podcasting world since you've been at it for a while.
Yes, I've definitely been at it for a while.
Well, you get the point. You get the point.
Both weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, hey, you're at the same amount of episodes as your return, like as your actual time of being a co-host, as I am for the second season of this series. So
Let's go.
we're basically tied. It's fine.
Sounds good.
And thank you guys all for listening. If you guys haven't listened to these guys, obviously go check them out. I'll put all their links down in the description so you can go give them a listen. You can listen while you're at work, while you're home doing chores, whatever. It's a good time. They get some good insight into the game and the community overall. So make sure to check them out. We'll catch you guys all next time. As always, good fun. Have luck.